Cheers everyone, welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about detachment. And there's many different ways that we can conceptualize this idea. You can think about it as detachment, depolarization, letting go, lowering importance. They're all kind of the same thing because they're all symptoms of putting a desire, putting a goal, putting a person on a pedestal. And when you put something on a pedestal, really what you're saying to the universe, because everything is made up of energy and imagination is what creates reality. You're directly communicating with the universe, with this person, with the circumstance, that you are above me, so I am not as deserving of you. And this type of, the thing is that the universe will reflect what you hold to be true. The universe tends to always reflect what you hold to be true in your mind, not what you want, but what you think, what you imagine, what you are declaring to be true in your reality. That's why your self-talk is so vitally important in this process of getting what you want. The way that you speak to yourself in regard to your goal, in regard to yourself, in regard to other people, what you think you're capable of, what you think you deserve, what you're worthy of. You're constantly communicating with the universe all of this and your value in relation to everything else in the universe by your communication. So I'm going to cover some of my processes here in my upcoming book. If you're interested in downloading it, it's got every technique, every process I've learned over the past 10 years, spent tons of money on courses and different resources and different people and teachers that I've found a lot of these techniques in. Some of them are my own, or I put my own twist on them. But when you click the link in the description, you'll be added to the list where I'll be notifying you as soon as it's available. And let's get into it. So really, one way that you can think about manifesting is one way of thinking about it is that it is awareness. It is the ability to discipline your awareness on what you want without the effort, without the strain, without being in too much of a heightened state of emotion, too much of a fearful state of emotion. And what we want in order to become magnetic to our desires is to not be in either end of the spectrum. There's a lot of corollaries to psychology. Psychology really is manifesting. It's all about your psychology. It's all about your inner world, which is the study of the mind, the study of your self-talk, like we've been talking about, what you think to be true, what you hold to be true. And when you're talking about relationships, attachment theory is a great way of explaining this. The person who's very attached is energetically repellent to the person that they desire. This also goes for your goals. So the person that puts that goal on the pedestal, the person that believes that goal is above them and that it's going to be very hard, very difficult because they don't feel inherently worthy of the goal, or they feel like it is so important and they make it this tower in the sky, pie in the sky, pipe dream, these types of things. Unfortunately, we've heard these things from people in our lives and they seep into our subconscious, and the outer world reflects the subconscious because it has no other choice. So when you get to the point where you no longer need your outcome and you are no longer emotionally dependent on it happening for you, that is when you know that you have magnetized in the sense that you are not in this repellent state to the goal anymore. And you need this in order to become magnetic to your goals. The first thing you need to do is depolarize yourself away from that, oh, it's so important, how am I going to get it? All that nervous type of energy that comes along with that very attached, needy energy. And the easiest way to think about this is like for relationships, because all of us know when we've felt that neediness in a relationship or towards someone that we're interested in. And you've seen how it plays out time and time again. The universe doesn't lie. The universe shows you again and again that this is true. That the more that you crave something, need it, lust after it, the more repellent that energy is. So the thing is that things show up as a reflection of already having it, already giving it to yourself. The securely attached person already has a degree of self-love, already has a degree of value within themselves. If you look at people, if you look at beautiful women or like movie stars, really high status people, look at the way that they hold themselves. Look at the way that they carry themselves. They don't have, and body language, it's interesting because body language is like direct communication. It's not really a language as much as it is just truth, because our bodies are the house that our 4D self is in. Our bodies don't lie. So when somebody walks into a room, that is an honest signal about how they feel about themselves. If they're looking around and all nervous and all fidgety, you can see that they're seeking approval. They are needing the approval of other people. And again, this all ties into how are you conceptualizing yourself in relation to your goals? It could be people, or it could be another goal in this case. But the people that are confident in themselves, that are self-assured, when you see Brad Pitt walk into a room, he doesn't have that. He's holding his energy within himself. And therefore, because he has given himself that respect, he has given himself and honored himself and chosen himself, and in his mind, he believes that he is valuable to any situation that he's in, it is reflected in his outer reality. So, what do we have to do to bridge this gap? So one thing that we can do is literally begin to look at yourself in the mirror, begin to observe yourself. How is it that you are carrying yourself? What is your body communicating? If you are carrying a lot of that nervous energy, you can do some breath work. You can do some alignment exercises. You can model people that are confident in themselves, comfortable in their own skin. But another thing when working with the mind that we can do is there's a process and I'm going to give you guys these processes. I have these processes in my book here. I'm going to read from my book and share some of this stuff with you. A lot of the times when we have this goal that's larger than life in our mind, it's outside of our reality. So we need to first have clarity on what it is that we want. Then we need to believe it's possible in general, but then also possible for you. And we don't need to know that it has to happen, but we have to have this belief that it can happen. It can be possible. The fact that other people have done this, whether it is smooth talking Brad Pitt or whoever it is, you conjure this image of somebody in your mind that has accomplished what it is that you want. And rather than the defeatist mentality, the mentality that's comparison and victim mentality, you go into, look, if other people can do it, if this person can do it, there's no reason I can't do this, because the universe is responding equally to all people. It's not like this person or X person, yeah, we're all unique and we all have our different qualities, but the fact that somebody's able to do something is just evidence that it is possible. That's where you take control over your frame of reality and your frames. Then you release resistance by allowing and accepting and stopping that inner battle that you're having with yourself. By not needing it, by not being dependent upon it in order to feel okay, in order to feel all right, or to move forward. That is where things can happen. When you're okay either way. Somebody like Brad Pitt, if he goes into an audition or if he is striking up a conversation with somebody that he's interested in, he's okay either way. And it is very visible in his energy that is the case. The types of people that are not smooth, the types of people that are not charismatic, the types of people that come across in that way are the types of people that they need it to be okay. They need the other person to react positively for them to feel okay. When it comes to a job interview, when it comes to an audition, when it comes to any of these things, social interactions, people can feel this, and that's often why that doesn't work well to get the job. It doesn't work well to score the role. It doesn't work well to get what you want. Approval-seeking behavior, permission-seeking behavior in life and in general is repellent, right? So again, that's what we don't want, but what we want is like, I trust that this can happen. but I'm not going to sit around and wait for it, right? I know this can happen with XYZ person and we can get along and have a good time, but I'm not waiting on it. I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket and waiting with bated breath for this person to say yes, or this person to, agree to what I'm saying. And part of that is maturing and growing up, that we don't need, as children, we've been conditioned to learn to seek approval and learn to seek validation from other people. And part of maturing and growing up and becoming a master of your fate, a master of your reality, is realizing, look, my parents might think this. I disagree with a lot of things that my parents think. I'm probably never going to be able to change their opinion. I can say my beliefs, I can tell them what I think, but ultimately they're going to believe what they believe. And you can get better at communication. You can get better at your skills of persuasion. And maybe one day you will be able to articulate your ideas in a way that, maybe people say, yeah, I haven't thought about it like that before. But you don't need to wait with bated breath for that to happen. If you're waiting, you're implying that you don't have it, that you still need it, and that it's in the future. But you have to trust. You have to trust the universe, trust yourself. I trust I'm going to be okay no matter what. Regardless, I'm going to be good. I want this thing. I'd love for it to happen, but I don't need this 3D thing. I'm not making my entire world contingent upon this thing. I want it, but I don't need it. That is the type of energy that you want to cultivate. It's all about getting back in that state of neutrality that I'm always talking about. I talked about at the beginning of this video by allowing. So here's the interesting part, is that if we do find ourselves flummoxed in these heightened emotional states, another counterintuitive approach that we can use here is to allow it. So what this would look like is, instead of resisting that state, you can tell yourself, yeah, like I get it. I get that I want this thing. I would love that. It's totally possible. My fears are there. My doubts are there. Even my anxiety. It's okay. But I don't actually need that person, that outcome, this particular thing to feel either way. It's fine if I feel these feelings. I have these passing emotions of angst or anxiety or, doubt. But that is an emotion that I'm experiencing. You don't identify with it. You don't declare into your reality that this is going to inform your results. You tell yourself, look, just because I feel a little off balance right now, just because I really want that outcome, doesn't mean that I need it to be okay. I'm going to be okay either way. That's how you get control back over your reality, over your narrative. If you dwell in the state of neutrality, you're much more likely to get it because you're not putting out that fearful, lacking vibrational energy. You're not putting out that frequency into the universe. You're emotionally independent because you've cultivated the inner equilibrium and that neutrality. Manifesting is internally shifting to the degree that you are no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. Say to yourself, I'm emotionally independent of circumstances. That's when you master your circumstances. Now, one way of doing this is to give it to yourself in the 4D. Frederick Dodson, in his book, Parallel Universes of Self, says that there are only 3 ways to get rid of, because when we have this attachment, we feel this tension. There's this inner tension that exists that motivates you to follow through with the goal. And when you reach the goal, the tension disappears. Both polarities, the fearful and the overly attached state, lead to anxiety. They lead to states that are not conducive to you actually fulfilling and achieving the goal, because again, they're energetically repellent to the goal. What you want is for that tension will disappear when you reach the goal. So I'm going to read to you what he says here in his book. He says that the structure of any goal or desire is a triad of current state, desired state, and tension. So when you say, I want a career change, it automatically creates 2 other objects. I'm unhappy with my current job, and the tension between the two, between the unhappiness, between wanting the new job. So these 3 methods will make the triad disappear. He says, 1, to reach the goal, or fulfill it in reality. 2, to reach or manifest the desired reality in your imagination. So you give it to yourself in your imagination. Or 3, to cancel the desired reality, to decide that you no longer want that goal, to give up, as some people sometimes say that they have success with doing. Many people are familiar with the first method. The second method involves duplicating the desired result in imagination as if you're already experiencing it. When you duplicate it properly, the goal's construct will fall apart. Consciousness doesn't differentiate between real and imagined. And it feels the same. You feel the same relief whether the goal was achieved in physical reality or it was imagined. It was achieved in imagined reality. Most people are also familiar with the third method. It simply means deciding you no longer desiring it, or without labeling it as a loss or cause for self-invalidation. So, he gives the example in the book of sex. You currently desire sex. The current state is no sex. The feeling is sexual tension. Method 1 is to engage with somebody in physical reality. Method 2 is to fulfill your desire in imagination. And method 3 is to give up desiring sex altogether, or to just divert your attention elsewhere. He says that all 3 methods lead to the tension of polarity to fall apart. In other words, if there's too much exhaustion and unhappiness in your life, use one of these 3 paths to relieve yourself. Reach the goal or give it up without regret. Get into the state of having reached the goal, reach it or give it up. Spending too much time in tension costs too much energy. And I'm sure that we're all familiar with what he's talking about, because that is when we are in these states of really craving, really desiring something, really wanting it to happen, but at the same time feeling like, oh, how am I going to make it happen? There's no way it's possible for me. So when you don't do one of these 3 methods, Frederick Dodson says that this energy stays within you. This needy attention seeking, or not attention seeking, but this need takes up a lot of energy. It takes up a lot of our human energy. And if you're not able to reach the goal mentally or in physical reality, stop acting as if you are, or experience fulfillment mentally and emotionally. Give it to yourself in the 4D. If you do that and experience that relief inwardly, physical reality will respond to the emotional vibration of fulfillment by reflecting new events. Any desire that has not been handled binds attention. It decreases your ability to handle life, decreases self-worth, and can exhaust you. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys an exercise from my book on how to do this. So, you say to yourself, I'm emotionally independent of the circumstances. Lie down, put on some relaxing music, use your imagination to give yourself this thing in imagination. Another way of doing this is to use the not technique. So you confirm, I don't need X. I'm not looking for X. I don't need X to happen to feel okay. I don't need X to feel great right now. Then you can also say, how can I not need this and still be okay? And you can engage in this process, which is, let's say that you are looking for contact from your SP. You want them to reach out, let them know that they love you, they care about you, they've been thinking about you, right? So begin writing the outcome that you desire. In this case, that would be, I want my SP to call me and tell me how amazing and incredibly good looking I am and how they want to see me all the time. Then, obviously, you feel needy with this outcome. That's why you're doing this exercise. So that feeling of desperation and neediness, obviously that exists around this goal. But what you're going to want to do now is draw this line underneath the goal, and underneath the line, you're going to write all the things you think you'd feel after this person called you and told you exactly what you want to hear. How would it feel if they told you they're totally in love with you and you are their ideal partner? Right. I would feel with the corresponding feeling for every line. So then I would feel attractive. I'd feel desirable. I'd feel acknowledged. I'd feel worthwhile. Keep going down the page. I'd feel appreciated. I'd feel good about myself. I'd feel secure, special, safe, like everything's going to be okay. I would feel confident in myself. I'd feel powerful. I'd feel at ease. I'd feel like my value is being confirmed. When you're finished, ask yourself these questions. If your SP called you and told you all this, can you 100% guarantee that you'd feel these feelings consistently all the time? And two, if you had a choice, would you rather your SP call you, or would you want to consistently feel and embody all these feelings all the time? The list of feelings that you write down is showing you what it is that you actually want, what you think that your SP calling you is going to give you. But more often than not, you realize when you write this list down that if my SP did call me, that doesn't guarantee that I'm going to feel these things. In fact, something else could happen, or they could call me, or they could say something right after the fact that would actually undo all of that. So what you really want is you want those feelings. And when we feel this, when we feel these feelings of neediness, that's because we're not giving ourselves that. And one thing that you can do after you do this is rewrite those feelings as affirmations. Use those feelings as your affirmations. You can write them down as affirmations. I am at ease. I feel at ease. I feel that my value is confirmed. I'm confirming my own value. I'm my own authority of how much value I have. I'm confident in myself. I feel special. I feel desirable. I feel acknowledged. You can convert these into affirmations, record them, use them as an affirmation track. I just had somebody comment recently that they, using the technique I've been mentioning, recorded their affirmations as a voice note, left them on a loop, got their dream job. Would love to have a conversation with them to hear more about their process. But this idea of giving it to yourself rather than waiting for the external reality to give you permission to feel these things is what we need in order to achieve this emotional independence, in order to achieve that detachment, lowering importance of the goals. It's giving it to ourselves. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Brad Pitt gives it to himself. He's not waiting around relying on other people to confirm his self-worth. The other person isn't the point. You are. Their behavior is simply reflecting what you're not giving yourself, nudging you to provide that for yourself instead. So instead of collapsing into a negative spiral when somebody seems disinterested in you, see it as a chance to strengthen your confidence. Again, it's not about them, it's about you. Their behavior highlights what you need to give yourself. And so whether you're making this list, whether you are engaging in a SATS practice and literally giving yourself in the 4D with all the feelings, tones of reality, like Neville Goddard says, all the sensations, what it is that you desire, you are going to alleviate some of this attention or approval seeking, all of this neediness, all of these things that are counterproductive to getting what you want. And by doing that, by removing that repellent energy, now you become magnetic to it. When you declare for yourself in your own reality, I am magnetic to this. When you remove the blocks and then you say that, because a lot of the times, if we just simply affirm that, it can feel like we're lying to ourselves, right? And it can still work. But by engaging in this process, by realizing that you don't need XYZ person to approve of you, XYZ thing to happen, certain specific outcome to happen for you to feel all of these things that you've made this list of, you can give it to yourself and you can experience it in the 4D. Either that or, like Frederick Dodson says, achieve it in reality or give up on it, one of the three. That's how you depolarize yourself. You undo the repelling energy and you transmute that repelling energy into a magnetic energy. Everybody responds positively to those who value themselves, those who carry themselves with confidence, who are secure in themselves. So then this SP example, as soon as you start giving yourself that, you'll come to notice that people actually, their energy begins to shift. Now they're bending into your frame. People that have powerful frames are the ones that get others to shift to conform to their version of events, to their version of reality. That's what Neville Goddard says when he's talking about EIYPO. I think people get off too far in the woods with some of that stuff and they misinterpret it. This is, in my belief, the crux of what he's talking about. When you internally shift to that degree that you don't need their approval, that you don't need this outcome, that you're not relying upon this person saying yes to you or validating you or giving you approval or whatever it is. Could be your parents, could be the SP, could be anybody, could be any situation. You are now taking back your control and you are now becoming magnetic to your desires. You have essentially flipped the paradigm. Instead of having the goal on the pedestal, you are the one on the pedestal. You put yourself on the pedestal by giving it yourself and giving yourself permission, giving yourself your own validation. You don't need a pat on the back from anybody else. You give it to yourself. And that is how you become a magnet to your desires. Anyways, guys, much love as always. If you're interested in the ebook, click this link in the below and click the link in the description below. You will be notified as soon as it's coming out. And like I said, I have just a vast array of techniques in this book that are all going to give you a lot of things to work with in order to shift your mindset, in order to really begin to manifest your best life in 2025 and beyond. Spent countless hours on it. I've spent probably the past 6 months now compiling it, editing it, making sure that it has every technique that I wanted to put into it. I could have left it, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I could have just been like, yeah, this is good enough. But I keep adding to it because I want it to be so all encompassing that when it comes to your self-talk, when it comes to you getting control over your internal narrative, over the movie of your life and becoming the director and the actor and the star and the writer of the show that you are starring in, and becoming the main character in your life, that you are really able to have every single resource that I've come across that has been helpful for me and everything that I could possibly, everything but the kitchen sink, right? So with that being said, guys, much love as always. Drop this with a like. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.